I want to model what we have seen in real life and sort of make it better and model it, make it my digital life better. And I'm going to export this product to the game that I've been developing. So if you are interested, you can go to my other channel called Learning Free with William Jiaming, and in that channel, it's mainly about programming and game development. So I will export the product that we built in this channel to that gaming channel. So yeah, just to make a digital world. So you're watching a serious video about how to make a couch. So yeah, previously we finished the out side of the couch, and I think I'm going to add a little bit cushion here. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. First, let's switch on the screencast key so you guys know what I'm doing at the left side. And I think yeah, we can use these two and sort of duplicate it to make it yeah, add it back so we can get a soft lay down. So let's just try to do that. So I think side view is a good view, and wireframe mode, I'm going to shift D to duplicate it. Okay, and right now I want to rotate it, and maybe here G, free grabbing, maybe here rotate a little bit. I think it's a little bit too big, so S to scale it down, and maybe here, and S to the Z axis. Let me just yeah, stretch a little bit. So then I think I can go to this we don't need the material preview, just this solid mode, so I can see what's going on. And this is definitely too small, so what I'm gonna do is to check this. Remember, if you duplicate that, you duplicate all these modifiers. So we got subdivision service, you got this mirror modifier, so you can see that clearly. And what I'm gonna do is to stretch that a little bit, so maybe scale that in the x-axis, so you can just stretch it, yeah, something like that. And yeah, and if you want to make it a little bit closer, you need to press tab, go to the edit mode, and then grab x-axis, A to grab everything, and G grab and then x-axis to make it a little bit closer with each other. Yeah, if you go too close, it might a little bit buggy, so maybe just something like this. Okay, and I think this two is also too separated, so maybe change this two as well. So edit mode, A, select everything, G, grab that, X, and to make it closer. Okay, so we don't want it to separate too much. Alright, I think that's a pretty good, comfortable couch. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And then I think I need to add legs, sort of wooden legs at the bottom of it. So yeah, let's just try to do that. Right, I think we've pretty much finished the main part. Let's continue to add the supports, which is the leg of this couch. So yeah, remember to access edit mode. You don't want to mess things up and then accidentally add that inside of a certain object, so you get multiple objects connected and you have to separate that. Okay, so yeah, object mode, shift and A to add a mesh. Let's just add a cube. Right, and let's go to the front view, scale it down, x-axis. Let me scale that to a, I think this about that, and of course scale that axis. Maybe not too long, you don't want this long, maybe a little bit shorter, so it's less intrusive. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And here comes the part that you need to pay special attention to, is that you need to go to the edit mode to do that, because you don't want to leave you don't want to move the center point Okay, so yeah, you go into the edit mode. You want to grab that, and you want to go to the x-axis, so that we move it to the left side of it, and grab that, and z-axis to move it down. Remember, the object has moved, but the center point is still there. The reason for that is that the modifier, especially the mirror modifier, is sort of as using the center point as a reference. So what I'm going to do is to sort of replicate it to the left side as well as the back. Okay, so yeah, just remember, everything I do is in edit mode. If you are using object mode, it won't work. Okay, because the center point will go with the object. And yeah, let's go to side view, and that's definitely too big. So let's just add a y-axis, make it a little bit smaller. I think that's about it. And because I'm going to go to the front, so G and y-axis, so let's just move it to the front. Okay, that's about it. I think that's a little bit long, but yeah, I think I can do with it. The reason for that is that I'm going to sort of move it, tilt it a little. So the best way to do that is to use the wireframe mode, because I can see this point here clearly. If you want to move the whole canvas, you can shift and middle mouse just to click and drag it. Okay, and what I'm going to do is to select that. Remember, you're in edit mode, so just select that 2 maybe, and grab that. Remember, you can also grab the vertex as well. And let's go with the x-axis, so I can just grab that like this, and yeah, that looks pretty good. And yeah, that's pretty good. And of course, you can just scale that down, because this is a more interesting design. Okay, and yeah, let's go to the side. I think this is a little bit weird, so I think maybe I need to rotate it a little bit. So maybe A to get that, grab everything, and I think maybe go to the 7, so I can go to the top view, and R to rotate. I think maybe approximately here. Let me just move to here. Yeah, I think that's about it. And yeah, pretty nicely good. And let's go to solid mode. And this go outside a little bit. Wireframe mode. You can go to using the wheel D and wireframe. Okay, this is a much quicker way of doing it. Go to 7s and maybe just scale. Yeah, not scale. Just to grab it and move it to here. So just nicely calling the under it. Okay, so then the solid mode, you can check this out. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And once you are satisfied with it, you can add the modifier. Okay, so add modifier, and we get this mirror modifier, and x-axis is the sort of default. So remember, x-axis left and right, x-axis, remember, and of course you can, let me go to this y-axis, and voila, you got this quickly generated 4 supports legs for your couch. And yeah, I think this is a little bit front, so I'm going to drag it back. So what I'm going to do is to because remember, this is just a object, one object, so you are still in the edit mode. You don't need to adjust that in the edit mode, but rather you adjust the tablet and choose everything else, and maybe go to side view, okay, and grab that y-axis, just move it back a little bit. So yeah, just about that. Okay, so yeah, we get pretty nice supports here. Okay, so yeah, I think that looks pretty nice. Yeah, that's about it. Of course, I think if you want this design to be pretty comfortably the comfortable design. Sometimes you're going to use a pretty shorter than this pretty long one. Okay, so if you want to adjust that, you can always go back to the edit mode. Remember, this is just a one back with modifier. So you go back that, you A, and you select this legs to make adjustments. And what I'm going to do is to maybe make it a little bit shorter. So let's go to one front view and select the vertices here. And what I'm going to do is to grab that Z axis, make it shorter. This is, I think, is less intrusive than pretty long leg. Okay, and of course you can make it smooth by subdivision modifier, something like that. And that's all depends on your style. Okay, if you want smooth, you can use the subdivision modifier. If you don't want it smooth, you can just yeah, leave it. Subdivision surface, and you can just smooth it out by shifting the E, get that sort of a rounded feeling. And of course you can add it the shader smooth and something like that. And you can use a sort of a metallic feeling to it. And so yeah, that's all depends on you. Of course you want to get this supporting area a little bit yeah, smooth. You can just add this subdivision surface. Okay, and shift and E to just yes, I think, yeah, we need to go to edit mode and just get it out like this. And the viewports, let's add it to maybe 4, because we got pretty subtle edges here. So yeah, you got the idea. If you don't want it to become pretty hard edges, you can always resort to the soft edges and exit it, then shader smooth, pretty smooth. I think I need to got this cushion as well. Let me just add that and then smooth it, shader smooth, and just add that to 4. I think this will give this a pretty smooth feeling. Yeah, maybe 3 or 2. You don't want the leg to have too much of the smooth. Okay, I think that looks pretty good, pretty smooth, cozy couch. And yeah, and the final things is that it's a little bit hard and a little bit dull now. So what I'm going to do is to add a little bit realistic feeling by make this couch a little bit folded area. So some of this dented and the other was extruded, so become much more realistic. So what I'm going to do is to starting with the support area, and let's go to the edit mode. And I think maybe I'm going to loop cut it to do the work. Okay, so I think I'm going to use a loop cut to make it a sort of a seam in the couch, because let me bring the couch here. So I just browsed the internet and I see an amazing couch. Let me just bring that web image. Yeah, sometimes you need a reference image for that. I think this is a pretty good example of it. And yeah, they did not have a wooden area, but rather they got a double layer of this couch. And yeah, but if you look at here, we got a sort of a line here. And yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve. So let's try to do that. And let's go back to Blender. Remember, for that we add a modifier. So we just need to got 1, and the other side will be soft. So let's just choose one and go to the edit mode and Control R to sort of a loop cut it. Yeah, I'm going to make more. Yeah, let me just delete that. Control R, and I'm going to make it more cuts, but nothing too crazy. If you just got cut like this, that's totally unnecessary. Unless you want to do that manually, because we will use the algorithm to do that. So just a big seam, I think maybe something like this would just do the work. Maybe just 3. Okay, so because yeah, just 3, and right click, and we apply the changes, and then I think I'm going to cut it maybe here. Okay, so yeah, horizontal cut, and maybe 2. 3 is too much, I think 2. Okay, and left click, right click, and we got this a nicely cut cushion here. And after you have cut it, then the most easy way of doing this is just to get this center point and grab it backwards, okay, and yeah, grab it backwards, and yeah, so let's try to do that, and yes, like that. Let's just grab this this one, maybe just use this versus, yeah, maybe just use the solid mode. I think this looks much better. Got this one, okay, and holding shift, we got this one, and let's go here, we got this one, and we got this one, okay, and let's go to side. Maybe not go to side, maybe just grab that and to the y-axis, so I can grab it, get it inside a little bit, just a tiny little bit. You don't want too much of it, just a tiny little bit. Okay, so we got an indented area, and of course that you can just click and drag every part. For example, you want to get a certain point out, you can just click and drag. You want to get it down, something like that. And remember, this will affect what is inside, but not directly, because you are sort of inflate that. You sort of treat this as a container. You are changing the shape of the container, so it will have an indirect effect on what is inside. So just do it subtly, and I look at the results along the way. If you can't see it, you may just use the render mode, something like that. Okay, so yeah, I think just to use this sort of a subtle change would be good, because yeah, you don't want too much of that change. And I think this seems a little bit yeah, weird, because you don't want to sort of hard separate that. So maybe just to add a dent, okay. And of course you can use the same method with the rest of this. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I'm going to do that using a algorithm to do that. So yeah, so you can, if you have more time, you can do this yourself, and then use the algorithm just to make it more realistic. Not because if you everything looks perfect, this will be a little bit fake. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to make it less perfect. Okay, so yeah, let's use algorithms to do that. So let's still use the cushion as an example. So before we actually do something, I think maybe I'm going to apply this scale, because if you don't apply the scale, when you fine tuning something, you sort of mess the scale up. Okay, so essentially you're going to apply the scale. Okay, so you choose that, you use Control and A to apply that. You can apply like location, rotation, something like that. For now, let's just apply the scale. Let me just use N to give you the idea of what I'm talking about. So you can actually see this item of you choosing, and we got location, we got rotation, we got scale, and that scale clearly not the original scale. So what I'm going to do is to Control and A. Remember, you look at here, okay? Control and A, and apply scale. So the scale will all go back to 1 which will means that this object is the original object without any changing of its form. Okay, so you can apply the scale to a lot of things. Okay, so you can choose all sort of things and Control A to apply the scale, apply location, rotation, something like that. But yeah, you got the idea. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is to remember you need to apply scale first and then use the modifier later. This is a good habit of me. Okay, so you choose the add modifier, and then I think I'm going to use a displace. Okay, so essentially the displace is we use the sort of procedure to change the object, and as you guys can see, once I add the modifier, this just become boom, right? Pretty big. And then I'm going to fine tune that. Okay, so we got the strengths, we can change the strengths to you got the idea. But let's just go back to default. And what's interesting about displacement is that you can add noises to it, so you can apply that noises to your original object. So it's sort of like the texture, but the algorithm, the noises are procedure generated. So remember, I said this is sort of like texture. You go to displace, you can add this texture. Okay, you can add a new texture, and then you can change the texture. So here's the interesting part. You are going to apply the texture to make this model look better, and then apply texture to make this model look better. So this is sort of like the texture of this shape. And if you look at the type, this is image or movie, and allow for image and movie to be used as texture. But for now, I think the cloud looks pretty good, so I'm going to use cloud to do that. So as you guys can see, we get a cloud texture and use this texture as the displacement, and you can see that we got a pretty uncomfortable cushion, because we got the pretty sharp areas, but that is because the strength. So don't worry about it. This is a good thing, because that means that sort of a 3D project map this cloud to the 3D space. So what I'm going to do is to just adjust the strength of it, and it will look good. So here comes the interesting part. We're going to adjust the strength as well as the size of the cloud. So the depth and nabla, we can leave it default, because this is a sort of algorithm to calculate normal as well as the depth. But what we are trying to do is to adjust the size, because that's definitely too small size. So you can click it and you can drag it. You can change the size, and let me just make it small. Look at this is like a pretty sharp. So if you just drag it up, and you can see you got a size like this, and I think the bigger you go, the better it will look. Okay, and the strength is definitely too much, so let's just go back to the default so you guys can see what is going on. So let's add a cloud, and default size is 0.25, depth is 2. So what I'm going to do is to increase the size a little bit, and I think that already looks pretty good, and that's definitely too much. Maybe something like this. And don't worry about the final result, because we're going to change the strength as well. So remember, you can always adjust that later. You don't need to worry about break your model. You go back to this little wrench, which is modify properties, and we got this displacement. And what I'm going to do is to adjust the strength. The strength is currently too much, so if you just move it down a little bit, just I think that looks pretty good. You can further decrease the strength, and I think the strength is maybe something like this, and then you can use this strength and go back to its texture to change the size. Okay, so you can change the size to a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger depending on the effect that you want to give. For example, if you want to pretty weird looking, yeah, you can go with the pretty small one, or want to have a little bit warm out couch, you can just make it bigger. But for now, I think let's go back to that strength, because that strength is definitely too much. So let me go down a little bit. Actually, I think this looks pretty good. 3 is too little. Maybe 0.1. Okay. Maybe 0.15. Maybe add a little bit. 0.25, and decrease, increase the size. I just need to find a sweet spot. Sometimes you got something like this, which means that you got a bad scale and texture combination, a strength combination. So I think let's just stick with 0.2 and change the size a little bit like this, so it won't have a little bump area. Okay, I think that looks pretty good, but we got this like this. So, but we also got something like this. So maybe strength we can't get too much. Yeah, this is just a try and error. You need to find the sweet spot for your model, and yeah, you may need to try multiple times. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Okay, let's just stick with it. So you might using different sizes as well as strengths, but my current size is 1.67, and the strength right now is 0.15. Okay, and of course you can use the same method to do all that as well. So let's quickly do that. Add modifier, we got this displacement, and add new texture, go here, get this cloud. Okay, and the size, let's just, because this area is for you to see it. Okay, so maybe something like this. Okay, and let me decrease the strength. Okay, and texture, something like that. Okay, I think I need to adjust the size as well, because the size is a little bit small right now. So maybe object mode and edit mode, Shift D to make it a little bit bigger. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Exit it. Yeah, I can live with that. So, for example, if you want to make it sort of dented, because you know a lot of people just sit at the center of it. What I'm trying to do is to make it dented in the center. You can just go to the edit mode, and you can use the Control R to loop cut it. Maybe just to loop cut it once. Okay, left click, and I think then loop cut it. Yeah, maybe not that. Let me move that to the center. Maybe back a little bit. Okay, so then remember we got the modifier here, so don't worry about that. And we got this center one. Grab it and dent it. Z-axis, make it dented a little bit, but not too much because you got too much. The other side will just coming out, so just a little bit, little tiny bits of it, and that looks pretty good. Okay, then you can exit, and you get a little bit nice dented area, and maybe that's too much. Maybe just a tiny little bit of, so you're holding shift, you're doing things pretty smoothly, and then you exit it. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And the left or right side clearly too smooth. Okay, so you can use the same method to add that modifier. Okay, so add modifier, displace, new material, and texture. I think I can use the previous texture that I have made. Okay, and then you can adjust the strength of it. So just decrease the strength. I think the left and right side do not have a lot of displacement, so I'm gonna stick with 0.1 or 0.15 maybe just 0.1. Not every part is this square out, because if you sit here and you lay here, the left and right do not affect what you do. Yeah. And I think I'm going to add something interesting. Okay, so I'm going to select it, go to the edit mode. I'm going to cut it maybe here, just to make things interesting. Okay, so I'm just play around with the model here, because I think this looks a little bit boring. So let me just grab that down a little bit. So G, grab that. I'm going to free grabbing, maybe something like this. This looks pretty comfortable. Okay, but you're not going to get this part out, so maybe just grab a little bit without giving away this part out. Grab this down a little bit. Okay, solid mode. Yeah, this looks pretty interesting, and I think I'm going to stick with grabbing the sensor one down. So edit mode, select, most of it. Oh, pretty weird. Maybe just select this. I think it's a little bit buggy because I don't seem to be able to select that. Maybe just re-enter that. Oh, pretty strange. Yeah. Okay, I successfully grab it. And then let's grab it down. Yeah, tiny a little bit. Then maybe these two need to adjust as well. Let me grab it up a little bit. And loop cut here. Maybe this one, okay, and make these two a little bit inside. Okay, so grab the y-axis, grab it inside, just to make things interesting. Okay, so yeah, this looks pretty interesting. And grab that x-axis to make it a little bit inside. Okay, this is pretty interesting design. Okay, so yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with the current couch. So yeah, I think yeah, this video is nearly 40 minutes. That's pretty long, definitely too long. So yeah, I think let me just leave it here. You can always get all sort of adjustments later on.